I'm going to also highlight the relationship England-America. That is how in present terms I find this existing in completely different dimensions, especially in terms of real political functionality, in terms of how we need it in all the times, therefore based on certain notions where institutions for that matter are in service of the previous existing purpose of their own functioning. When is in question the entire American system, it looks more like it is in question enormous cruiser, as are these intercontinental ships that usually would be named by a queen woman. So, ladies and gentlemen, I would bring that to your Supreme Court as well. The problem is that territory of such size is too much occupied with its own maintenance, and for that matter becomes object rather than subject. Subject can and should walk, talk, and think politics in the way how I do that. Today I am reinventing monarch simply because I needed to give institutional level of significance to this level of personal performance, and for that purpose it was enough to go in England. For me. I was not even for a bit thinking about America and the fact that there is aristocracy living in America because it was not point about speaking of aristocracy here. It was about the recognition of certain function in the form in which certain function happens on earth. It is not that we need to wait for another Jesus to come and solve the problems for humanity. Yet should I ask how many of you expect Jesus or God to come and solve the problems of humanity? And if that is not what you wait, then how you expect these problems to be actually solved or to start being solved? Where also most of them are not purely American, as America is not purely national territory or not only, and you do not have ways how to even address that or to bring much more efficient functioning, recognizing the true nature of American society as a historic component. Yet you claim the principal political imperial infrastructure, and of course, where we need to answer how such infrastructure can work without work of this kind, and then to what next question normally would be why territories that naturally do not appear as that much disconnected and to be that much are that much disconnected. I am still talking about certain category of population and about history that at some point happened to go in different direction, especially when are in question certain specific characters, where I am not sure should I be talking here about genie in the magic lamp, or am I supposed to talk about clear case of slavery with undeclared line of divide? In transition of Vatican, there is only one reference to catch the one that can. No further specifics provided. By why catching, why not engaging? So we talk about much more absolute polarization here after all. I'm talking therefore about political functionality in all of terms in which one would need and should be allowed to speak and expect political functionality in present times. And therefore I went in England because I needed to provide significance to my work without calling myself Statue of Liberty exactly, literally. Although if I stay in America, that is the only available option I have. Now I'm originating from territories you cannot afford to say you have never heard about. Yet in all of these years of my existence, you have related to me as I don't exist. Can it be explained exactly that phenomenon as well of your American society and why I feel myself closer to America than you feel close enough to me and to these territories? Would it be possible that that is a one-sided relationship or you just pretend that it is like that? I'm going to notice that you have developed very well capacity to speak about Israel, as it is the only country that exists in Mediterranean, and you have not developed ways how you can talk to territories where I have been born. Does that mean that our existence is not proved? I have no idea how to understand the entire concept of the American politics. Yet you want to talk today about your imperial legitimacy to hold political legal house on first account, without declaring on what exact parameters. I will find, however, America too big to be deficient in recognizing legal work of imperial levels, when it happens. Dissimilarly, it is as when we talk about Nobel Prize or something like that. Although Barack Obama certainly received it, I wonder on behalf of whom. But I will give him all of the credit for the speed of getting his hair white, and I continue to be in humble respect of American empire and the hardship of the modern times. And I have not even challenged that. In contrary, I felt entitled to the assistance of the infrastructure as I consider my work equally imperial, and I still wonder how is this possible that we talk here about phenomenon empire into empire. So I suggested here England, and on that I'm not going to excuse you. On that they will need to explain themselves. Yet I still cannot ignore the fact here that America resembles still very much of Roman imperialism. Well, that imperialism ceased to exist, and no one would ask even if we still talk about some kind of relevance. Are we not going to talk about walking forward in the actual time and dealing with the territories in much more mindful ways? As if civilization, which we find well inaugurated today in USA, cannot behave in the way how civilization should behave, then it cannot be called like that as well. So what I have in mind here is that we talk about active management of the territories, not about sleeping on it. I'm still going to find here the phenomenon of sleeping beauty. Now they are going to tell me you're too much into books for kids. I really am not sure that these are actually books for kids at all. I think they are talking about something far more serious and symptomatic, and since I certainly took the given position of Alice in a Wonderland, it's me and the wonders of the world. I took my thousands of written pages already with me for what I need another lifetime to sort them out. But the shape of your buildings is truly admirable. Such splendid mega reference. These were issues that required someone immediately to jump on the ground, which I have done without much of thinking, as a dog after a bone, although my reasons were already enough mine. The bone was your attention, your ears. Would sun be after the shadows? But the blood started to run in my veins differently. I was not to go from beast to a beauty. I was to go from beauty to a beast. I have not wasted too much time thinking even that I need to be approved by Americans on anything I do here. It felt enough as I am American myself, and I expected America to assist me in one way or another, assuming that I have full right to expect something like that. I have not changed my position on that particular instance, and I have no intention to change it because I don't have time to spend thinking from your perspective about how you understand America. As that anyway comes second because you are continuation, so it is always going to be second. How you understand America versus what really America is. Clearly, I'm talking here about price one need to pay sooner or later after getting the civilizational ball and running ahead all by themselves with it. But it, but I really like to point here that I feel very much about the legal houses there as matter of my personal inheritance, as matter of my right to personal inheritance. Of course, in the given context. Now you, I'm very sure, have learned something more that you did not know about America, and that is that a person as myself in any given time can call and count on assistance by USA without too many questions asked. That is when one asks you to follow while driving the space shuttle of a size of Star Trek protocol, of course. After all, why anyone would think that technology is there just for Apple computers, PlayStation, and similar kind of technologies? Would you just deliberately narrow the view here? And please don't talk to me about extraterrestrials. Talking about Tesla should be just good enough. Still, I'm playing Alice in a Wonderland here, not you. So we are talking rather about American wing. We are talking about the West Wing. Point number one. That is how America ended to be defined because America is too big to be anything else. I needed therefore to bring this work as a person of the ranking of institution, and there is only one word, one notion, one protocol that allows me to do that. That is monarchy. So I took the protocol with me because that protocol belongs to a monarch, and then I went in England because in that country people still can speak that language. Speaking the language is not entitlement or a title, however. You speak the language that was just good enough. That was just good enough. That is where my conversation with England and America is right now. And I do not think of myself as less American or less English because I'm going to notice you yourself have been crafted out of such kind of temples. Probably it is rather your problem that you have never been curious to learn about real people and history, or maybe you have in a secret way. Although considering what people we talk about and what they have done on last century on territories, it would have been wiser to keep it safe. Yet where we draw the line here, really, the capitals and the infrastructure you took on your side, which was not just about making Hollywood for sure. You certainly took some of people, although some is not the best expression, um, but rather the ongoing adventure. And so I'm certainly part of it. I will enclose here my overall impression generated from following for a longer period of time American media and new agencies. That they still behave versus our territories as we are in some kind of form of iron behind the iron curtain, which is still very much definition of shadows versus the sunlight that should have been presumed it is still on the western side. Yet I'm going to remind you here that in last century it was our President Tito that sent 10 of the best engineers for assisting Americans to create rockets for the going on the moon. And I'm not talking exactly about the shadows here. Neither when we talk about industries that have been, all the time developing exactly on the eastern part of the empire. Yet the way how that media continues to talk and reflect the culture that sounds very much supreme. I will of course notice just because they have the weight of the capital and continue to pretend as it is just going to be enough to deliver that supreme positioning. That appears to me solely rather childish and something that I cannot take even seriously. I have to look at that from the heights of being more serious and mature person, and that is exactly how this work has been delivered, without giving too much even weight to that entire staging. And that is how I'm going to close on this. I claim the good chunk of the heritage accounts. Of course, without this work, none of the above would make any sense. But I'm going to notice as well, although it may sound inappropriate, that there is clearly overwhelmingly present Muslim population that appears jumping on trampoline when passing over our territories due to being considerably ignited by something from our territories. And today it will need to be established what is that exactly. Of course, I have been doing 10 years of buzzing about it, and that something is prime capital ignition called goodwill, based on protocol Jesus, Mary Magdalene, and Mother Mary, therefore principal imperial bloodline, and I will find this very much a regional event accordingly. I'm going to find any protocol of exclusive yellow not sufficient to defend what I need to defend today, so I'm going to ask everyone to leave me to fight my fight. This is my call. That particular event is my call, and it is today of me to decide now how I'm going to formulate it and how I'm going to present it. To what I do not enclose 10 posting of YouTube, but thousands of written pages in last 10 years, writing and discussing matters 10 hours per day, presenting Constitution of Earth even, um, of course in draft version. Here the protocol becomes imperial and becomes about hierarchy when within strong regional presence, and then we talk about Holy Grail, which clearly was not exactly forgotten either. Understanding the size of the problem, therefore, I brought England as a point of negotiation, as a point of compromise, as we need to answer today where this kind of work belongs. And because I declare my work as work of political philosophy, which is therefore in category of conceptual thinking, I bring the entire discussion on questioning questioning notions as is civilization and as is the meaning of empire and imperial in any given time, which means in present times we cannot accept that our territories be referred as to territories of slaves. Africans are not accepting it. Why it would be us? With a far more extensive list of accomplishments. My question is therefore, what text, what textbook will create civilization of such proportions and such kind? Would that be a Bible, or we talk about something else? And of course, in that context, I would be asking inevitably what would be exactly the meaning of cut pyramid of your symbols, which are profoundly American and nothing less British, as the headquarters of Masonry are clearly in Britain.